Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Here is a thought that we all should live by. Quote, "You never go wrong when you take the high road. It's less crowded up there." No, true. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Tuesday, November 19th, the greatest country in the world, America. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch on this Tuesday, November the 19th. Glad to have you aboard, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and they've got the tires, the tread designs, everything for whatever the weather throws at you. Stop in and see your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers today. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Along with Greystone Crossing, Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. And right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, fine good morning, Zeb. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you very much. God bless you, man. Have a great day. And right now it's
I'm going to try jamming this old truck down the road.
All right, buddy. Drive careful. Thank you. Right now, time for the weather, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Oh, they've got all the tools and equipment to get the job done for both long and short-term rental. And if you're not sure, you got a project you're trying to hurry and finish up before the real bad weather sets in, why don't you give them a call? You're not sure what you need? They can help. Roger gets there along with the crew at early morning hour of 7 a.m. to serve you at K&R Rental. The number to call, 678-3122. That number again, 678-3122. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Here's Gino with the weather.
It appears we may get a taste of winter this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 20% chance of rain showers by this afternoon, cloudy skies, and we are looking at a high of 55. It is going to be breezy, winds out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour, turning to the west by this afternoon, and could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, chance of rain before midnight. That could turn into snow showers in the overnight hours, mostly in the higher elevations. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 30. By tomorrow, slight chance of rain or snow in the morning. That's going to continue off and on throughout the day. Possible snow showers up in the higher elevations. We are expecting a high of 45, and winds could gust as high as 21 miles an hour. By Thursday, 20% chance of rain or snow before noon, partly sunny skies by the afternoon, and a high of 43. And then as we take a look at Friday, sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. As I said, right on the Burley-Paul Highway. Here's the number again to call Roger and the crew for any questions about the equipment you need at K&R Rental, 678-3122. Right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. I want to remind everybody, too, about Thursday. Thursday is sale day at the Burley Livestock Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv, May, Cade, Rogge, and Lance Udy, all at the sale that works for you. Number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. And don't forget, Thursday is going to be sale day. They're going to have another ripping good sale at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard this Thursday. Real quick, too, our thanks go out to our dear friends at Daryl's Cleaners. I just absolutely appreciate what they do. They go the extra mile to make sure that your clothes all come back to you looking brand spanking new, all neatly pressed and looking good, and you're going to say to yourself, holy smokes, I don't even remember buying that shirt. Man, they do a good job at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, and stop in and see them today. Take all your rumply crumplies in there. Tell them Zeb sent you at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, we've all heard of the word kangaroo court, and now I'd like to give you an example of what it would be like. Let's just say the local sheriff comes out to your ranch and said, Zeb, you're under arrest. And you said, what for? And they say, we don't know yet. We'll think of something. Well, will you let me call my attorney? No, there'll be no need for that because we don't know what we're going to charge you with yet.
Yeah.
And it goes on, and every time you try to speak, they say silence. You know, you don't have the right to speak out.
Yeah. You're talking, of course, about this mess, this Democratic fiasco. I could come up with all kinds of different verbiage on this. You are not recognized. You are not recognized, says Adam Schiff as his bug eyes bug out towards the TV cameras. This disgusting little minuscule man has taken on the Hitleristic powers of being with a small man syndrome, that he has to have all the power, all the gavel, and all the cutting off of people that want to express themselves or questions to be asked. I was listening this morning since 7 o'clock, watching it, and it's not going to get any better today. It's going to get worse. And I read the transcript again before I went on the air. And I don't know if you've read the transcript of the... No, seriously, I don't know if you've read the transcript of the Trump and Zelensky phone call. I have read it to the point where it's worn out. And there is no demanding that Ukraine and President Zelensky do anything. But that's the verbiage that the Democrats are using. Well, President Trump demanded that they do this. That is, in very simple English, a doggone lie.
Yeah. And, you know, as far as Adam Schiff is concerned, my wife commented, he must wear contacts because he's constantly blinking. And I said, no, he has special implants there so he can scan everything in the room and keep scanning it and thinking of ways that he can put us down.
You know, I've always maintained, and people that know me realize that I don't wish any ill will against anyone. I mean, health problems or anything like that, and I never will do that. But in Adam Schiff's case, I do wish him the very best of negativity in his political career for the future. I don't like him. I don't think he's good for America, and I certainly hope that he is a has-been and a memory before too long.
Let me add one thing here. You know, the United States Congress, the Democrats took over not quite a year ago, and since they've been there, they've held back USCMA and immigration, the wall. They haven't passed one single thing.
That's right.
And how the heck do they expect to get reelected?
Well, they're not. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that votes Democratic in this next election really needs to go to a psychiatrist, and I mean that. I've got to run, Keith. Thank you. God bless you for your analogy this morning. Thank you much. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They also get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and they do have all your heating, cooling, and electrical medical needs. Is that bragging? No, that's a fact. And it's from a company that's been in business almost 7 decades of serving you absolutely with warm winters and cool summers. I urge you to give them a call, 678-0459. They are the best. We've used them many, many times, and believe me, the proof's in the pudding. They're the best. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, 678-0459. We've got a special birthday girl to talk about in just a moment. Stand by. Our big thank yous also go out to Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Hello, Thomas and the crew, Michelle, everybody. We're going to be over there this Thursday. Put it on your calendar. You got to be there. Please, folks, we can't have lunch bunch if it's not with a whole bunch of people. We've got to have numbers, and we appreciate all our friends at 611 North Overland in Burley for the Zeb's Lunch Bunch this month. And, of course, the best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, desserts, anytime, all the time, with very, very nice people serving you. I urge you to stop in today to America's Diner. 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And don't forget, too, with Lunch Bunch coming up this week, our special thanks to our gift certificate donors, Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, and Denny's. Thank you so much for what you do. All righty, calls are welcome and appreciated. Wheels, did we have another call waiting? I can't remember.
No, you're okay.
Okay, thank you. Birthday girl, and she's celebrating her birthday today, and this lady I've known for a long, long time, and I say God's blessings to her. Polly Butler, happy birthday to you, and many, many more. Wonderful lady, and hopefully she'll be at Lunch Bunch, too. Polly Butler, happy birthday. A big shout-out and thank you also to Dr. Bill and the crew at Ark Animal Hospital. Boy. If you're going to have animals, I urge you to take care of them. Make sure that you're up on all their health. I mean, keep a little notebook. Yeah, well, we've got this one wormed. We've got all the injections. That's your responsibility. And if something does happen or one gets sick or injured, I urge you to get a hold of Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. And Dr. Bill and the rest of the crew, they can help you and your livestock and pets. Don't forget, they're there to serve you. 678-1177, the number to call. And they have warm hearts for cold noses at Ark Animal Hospital. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, it's so upsetting. You turn on the TV to watch the news, and all you hear is this crap about Trump, how he's done this and he's done that, and it's all hearsay. Nobody says anything that they directly heard or knew about. It's always something that they heard him talking about on the phone, or somebody told them that he said it, or something like that. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you at all. Sometimes we have a pretty good arbitration between us, and I look forward to that. But you're a spot-on person this morning. Jerry, I have mentioned this. I have read the transcript of the so-called phone call with President Zelensky on numerous times. I've got it highlighted, underlined, dog-eared, everything. And if you can show me that there is demanding in this phone call, and if you can tell me and show me where there's arm twisting for a quid pro quo, I'd like to see it, because it just isn't there, my friend.
Well, it's not only not there, I don't know how they come up with the crap they're coming up with on the news.
I know.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. All this is, did you get a look at this morning's paper at all, Jerry?
No, I didn't.
Well, okay, there is a cartoon in there, and it's a cartoon that basically sums up what's going on at these hearings. And I don't mean to sound crass, but I'm just telling you what the cartoon looks like. It's a great big toilet. A big toilet with a pile of money in the toilet that's swirling around and going down the drain. And that amplifies exactly what these hearings are. Nothing more than a waste of money flushed down the toilet.
Well, that's all there has been in the 2 years, actually almost 3 years, the Democrats have been in power in the House.
Yeah.
It's just been a big flush it down the drain deal, because it's money for nothing.
Well, Keith,
Stream on all kinds of stuff, and they cannot prove one single thing.
Yeah, that's the thing about what Keith Cottom said earlier this morning is spot on, that they're basically throwing the president on a hotbed of coals and saying to him, oh, now wait a minute, we know you're guilty of something, and by golly, we're going to keep going every single day with the taxpayers' money, and eventually we're going to find out that you did something wrong. This is insanity.
Well, I'll go along with you on that all the way, and I'll get out of the way so you can get the next guy in. I wish that the Lord would bless you and your whole audience.
Well, thank you, Jerry. In the
name of Jesus Christ.
There you and keep that up. I appreciate it.
May the Lord bless.
Thank you, Jerry. God bless you, my friend. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, man. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget Dino Septic Service. Oh, boy, they do the job that you and I don't want to do. We don't want to be out there pumping a septic tank. No. I mean, my goodness. And then they, of course, have the best of backhoe services, and sewer and St. Drain lines are cleaned, and liquid waste removal, and back, like I said, water and sewer lines installed. They can do it all for you, and they do it fast, fair, friendly service with a smile on their face. These are nice people that are really concerned about serving you. Dino's Septic Service. Don't forget, 436-6526 or 678-1638. With a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Great, great folks. Quick note here, too. Our buddy old Rick over at Mountain Transmissions. If you put the shift selector in drive and you're backing up, or vice versa, you put it in reverse and you're going forward, you got a problem with your transmission. You better get a hold of him today. Mountain Transmissions at 504 East Main Street in Burley. And I'll tell you what, they have free estimates and free diagnosis. Call him, 678-9110, Mountain Transmissions. Caller, good morning, and they wish you a happy Thanksgiving, by the way, too. Thank you very much.
And happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, I have a couple little comments. First of all, every time I turn around, somebody new overheard this supposedly conversation. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Isn't there some kind of privacy act? I mean, I would be really frustrated at any conversation. I don't care if I'm calling my daughter to see how the kids are doing. If I have 9 people telling me different things that I supposedly said when I'm saying it's none of your business what I was saying.
In the president's case and in international relationships, there are monitors, if you will, of all phone calls. Besides being taped and audited, there are many people that listen in from various and sundry departments. But you bring up an excellent point that has not been brought up before, and I compliment you on this. I mean, all these people that are coming out of the woodwork, like who are testifying this morning, and you never heard about them, way back when. All of a sudden, the Democrats have groomed them and have listened to them and have tried to put their testimony to where it'd be the most damaging against the president. You really brought up an astute point that these people are like worms. They're coming out of every hole after the moisture hits.
Well, and then the president's not a stupid man. He knows that every dog and everybody is trying to get him, so he's not going to be saying something that's going to incriminate him. I wouldn't think.
Well, the problem is, though, dear lady, the problem is, and I think you'll agree with me, President Trump is not a politician. And that's a God's grace to us, if you will. But he's not a politician, and he's quite a bit like I am sometimes. He puts his foot in his mouth because he's being forthright. And I've done that 1,000 times. We all have. And I admire the man for saying, this is the way it is. If you don't like it, get out of Dodge City. And I respect that attitude.
The other thing I'm very frustrated about is our national media spending all this time on this.
Oh, yeah.
To me, which is not that big of a deal. And there's a more important thing. I want to know what's happening in China.
Yep.
I want to know what's happening to those students. I want to know what's happening around the world. And you only get a little bleep here and there about that.
I just wished I could bottle up what you said and pass it off to every member of the Democratic Party and label the bottle as common sense. Thank you for your call.
Oh, thanks. Bye. Bye.
God bless you. That lady is sharp. She's 100% spot on. I mean, the news media, 96%. I'm not making these numbers up, folks. I don't do that. Others might, but not me. 96% of the media stories about Donald Trump are negative, negative, negative. 96%. And the man can't get a fair shake. No. They've got him on the gallows with the rope on his neck in every story. It's pathetic. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to give a great big shout-out real quickly and a happy Thanksgiving wishes from Senator Kelly Anthon. This man is such a devoted public service man to the point where he's got constituency that he really goes out and works for, and we're blessed to have him. Senator Kelly Anthon and his family wish you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. And Representative Fred Wood, District 27, Seat B, wants to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. No matter what the subject, no matter what the time, I've called him and he's always been there to help out. And he extends to you and all of the families in this area a happy Thanksgiving. Representative Fred Wood. And last but not least, Representative Speaker of the House Scott Bedke up there in Oakley. By golly, there's a good old boy with the cowboy thoughts of how the world should be, and he is right. I appreciate him, and he wants to wish everybody a very, very happy Thanksgiving coming up in just a matter of days. Thank you, Kelly Anthon, Fred Wood, and Scott Bedke. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Folks, Nancy Pelosi is challenging, and this is really kind of childish, really. She's challenging President Trump to testify in front of the impeachment inquiry hearings. You know, the way Trump's personality is, with basically the statement, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, I would not be surprised if Trump would call up Pelosi and Schumer and say, okay, I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock on such and such a day, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to answer these questions, and this is it. This is going to end it. It's going to end this joke. It's going to end this Bugs Bunny cartoon show. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did it, but I don't want him to. I would say to the president this morning, if I had his ear, I would say, no, Mr. President, do not give the Democrats anything. As a matter of fact, don't even tweet about them. Don't even let people know that you realize they're on the same planet breathing the same air. I would not give the Democrats that are basically rabid dogs craving for more flesh in their evil, evil, sinister ways. I would laugh at them. I really would. I would laugh at them and tell them to go get a life or else go back into the dog kennel and take a big nap on your rug that the owner gave you. I just absolutely have no use for these Democrats. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, in all this distraction that's happening in D.C. with this impeachment, I noticed this morning that we're losing another coal-generating plant down in Four Corners, Arizona.
Yep.
Did you see that?
Yep, I did. Little by little, the sinister left that has the combined IQ of a hockey puck, like Idaho Power, closing down very efficient generation plants of power and sticking their neck out saying, oh, we're going to serve green energy and go solar and wind, and these people are absolute lunatics.
Well, when they start shutting down power generation in this country, it's going to put people at each other's throats.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm worried about.
Earl, there is no way that anybody can tell me, I've done years and years of study on this, and I've had so many segments on this program, why in the world do you want to deplete a very efficient energy source that's serving the population that's growing all over the Northwest and, for that matter, the Western United States? Why would you want to replace that with an iffy situation of going to solar and wind that needs a substantial backup anyway? Please, Earl, you're a sharp man. Explain that to me.
Something I learned a long time ago growing up is if it works, don't mess with it. It's as simple as that, Zeb.
Well, it is as simple as that, but, you know, it's the green twisting of taking over control. And then it's the absolute arrogance of Idaho Power not answering questions as to why and how much to the ratepayers. The Idaho Power people are very smug. They're very indifferent to their ratepayers. They're very conceited, thinking they're above the fray and they're above everybody else, and they won't answer questions.
Yeah, but it's misleading, or another term for it is entrapment.
Yeah.
And I just, that's the way I'm seeing it.
I agree with you. Earl, take care of the mountain up there. You're in charge. Have a good day. Thank you.
I'll get my tailbone to work.
All right. See you later. Thank you. I want to shift gears a little bit here this morning. Oh, by the way, I owe everybody an apology this morning. I said I was going to devote this first hour for the next couple of days on some various and sundry education problems. The gentleman that I had scheduled to come on is really down with a bad case of the flu, and we're going to try to curtail that till next week, start a couple of the segments prior to Thanksgiving, so bear with me on that. Caller, I'm going to pay a bill, and then I'm going to put you on the air, so stand by. Barry Equipment and Rental. Boy, they've got 3 big locations to serve you with all the big boys, all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, with low-rate financing and excellent rebates, and they've got all the Bobcats. They've got all the shapes and sizes. They've got finance programs to purchase, lease programs. I'm telling you, for all the lifting, digging, pushing, and carrying, they've got the equipment for you. Barry Equipment and Rental, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location, serving you. Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I've got a very important thing for everybody for today, and that is for lunch at the senior center today. We're having breakfast menu for lunch. So everybody come and enjoy, and it's only $5.
Joe, you could serve me breakfast any meal of the day, and I'd smile like a Cheshire cat. I love breakfast.
Me too. I appreciate everything you do for us.
All right. God bless you. We'll send them over.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. The Senior Center on Oberlin. They're going to have breakfast for lunch today, and I think that's a good move because I love breakfast. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, you're making me hungry. Well, you know, Zeb, the things you're saying, you know, we've got reiterated, but I watched a little of the opening of the hearings that Devin Nunes just buried him in watching Schiff. he couldn't look, you know, his beady eye just kept blinking and everything, and it's just incredible. You know, just Nunes' minority report this morning was just interesting, and so how he just pointed out Hunter Biden's fiasco and all of the stuff that's been going on. He just summarized in a few minutes, and it was just incredible. And how the media, nobody's paying attention to the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And fortunately, programs like yours are taking over source of news. But the Idaho Power thing, right now, there's no wind out there. I venture to say those wind generators between Twin and Burley and down by American Falls aren't generating a kilowatt of electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just absolutely so ludicrous to think that you're going to mothball 1,000 megawatts out of Fort Bridger that runs 24 24/7.
Yep.
Very efficiently, has for years, and will continue to do that. And if these idiots think they're going to go totally with wind and solar, somebody's going to be without power parts of the day unless they have a tremendous amount of natural gas backup, or the only way they can really go totally green would be nuclear power. And of course, that's not. It's green, but it's not politically correct.
Well, let me jump in here a little bit, Adrian. You're 100% spot on, and I just wonder, and I've asked this question so many times, I'm blue in the face. When I initiated the phone call, and I want you to know this in case you didn't hear it, I initiated the phone call to Idaho Power. This has been about 6-8 weeks ago now. And talked to their staff up there in regards to consumer relations, asked them very politely to come on my program. I said that I am not an advocate of green energy, but I'm sure I have a lot of questions that they can answer that might be of interest to my audience. And they slammed the door in my face and told me we would never, ever consider coming on your talk show. And I took that as a real slap in the face, because I've done Idaho Power a favor in the past of having some of their representatives here to talk about their smart meters and everything else. And when you kick the dog, in my case I'm the dog, I'll guarantee you I'm going to turn around and bite you. And I find Idaho Power to be cowards, absolute cowards, hiding under their desks not to answer questions that you and everybody else needs to have the answer to.
Absolutely. Well, I've written now the CEO, Darrell Anderson, of IdaCorp and Idaho Power, and now they got another gal that's in president of. Apparently, they're making a lot of revenue. They say, well, the rates are 20% lower than the national average. They should be more than that lower than the national average, because we get 50% of our power comes from almost free hydropower.
Yeah.
And so somebody's patent the. I guess maybe I need to have more stock in Idaho Power, but I'm sure they're going to just absolutely fall flat on their face until they wake up. And I've used my credentials as a plant scientist to point out this whole carbon dioxide. Zeb, I've written and telephone called up there 5 different letters.
Yep.
Yet to have a reply.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And I made him sign for the last letter. It cost me almost $5, but nothing. A gal called me and said, "Oh, we got your letters." I said, "Well, I haven't heard a word from these people. What are you doing? I mean, is this? I've been in Idaho 48 years, and I've never seen the kind of standoffish approach that you people have."
Yeah.
And I've been a big advocate for Idaho Power because of their efficiency programs and so forth. But they have all these commercials on, Zeb. How are we going to cut power? Well, they're going to have to come out with a program. How are you going to live in the dark part of the day?
Yeah, I agree with you. Adrian, I want to say thank you to you for all you've done to follow up on this with Idaho Power. And I need to get you in the studio one of these mornings for a complete segment. I appreciate it. I got another call waiting, and I've got a commercial. God bless you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to remind people to come to the CSI tonight, to the Rescuing the Children program by Alice Noonan, 7 o'clock. At the CSI Taylor Building, room 276 upstairs. So please come. I think you'll find it extremely. This guy's an investigative journalist and author, and he's well qualified to talk about this. And I hope that people will come and hear him, because he's got an important message. The Idaho report card seems to keep going down, and it's on purpose. They're dumbing down.
I got to run, Adrian. I got to run. We'll send everybody over there tonight. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm going to try to have that gentleman back on the air again in the future, too. Thank you. Want to remind everybody about what's coming up on December 9th. Put this on your calendar. Circle it. Monday, December 9th, there's going to be a great big bred stock cow sale at Burley Livestock at 11 o'clock in the morning. Oh, this is going to be over 1,000 head of ripping good heifers. and cows of all ages. Consign now, and if you want to consign, don't forget to call Kate Rogge at 431-0074 or Merv May at 431-5735. Bread stock cow sale par excellence. Going to be a good one, and this is the sale to put together a good string of your cattle for this next year. Don't forget, Monday, December 9th at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 11 a.m., bread stock cow sale. You be there. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning. You're on the air.
You know, I called Speaker Bedke about Idaho Power, and of course he's busy, and I don't expect him to call me back. I'm going to call the governor. I'm trying to get a hold of the Idaho Public Utilities Commission, and I hope that must be right, because I asked Siri to call it, and Siri doesn't have any idea who the Idaho Public Utilities Commission is in Boise, Idaho, and I find that hard to believe. But, you know, when you're as busy as me, you know, you try to use your phone to help you to do good things. And so that's what I was doing. I haven't had a chance. I'm going to call the governor. I'm going to call Idaho Public Utilities Commission. I'm going to start calling representatives and senators from our state, because this is what they're doing. They're riding the clock out, man. They think if they don't receive enough heat, they're going to get away with this. And just like Adrian just said, how many, whatever, the size of the output of Fort Bridger, and it's been running smooth and clean and efficient for I don't know how long. Same way with Balmy. And to shut these plants down and take these people's jobs away is such a travesty that it just infuriates the living hell out of me. And see, we got to call in and talk to you, which is great, but we've got to call the Idaho Public Utilities Commission. We've got to call Tom Harvey at Idaho Power. I tell you what, Zeb, if they get away with this, of course, what if, you know, I'm just one screaming man. I don't know. It's such a travesty.
It is, and I want to thank you also for all your help in calling and letting people know how absolutely cowardly the Idaho Power representatives have been for not coming on this program. Randy, thank you for all you do. I know, settle down, don't get your blood pressure worked up to where it's on my level, and God bless you and have a good day. I got another call waiting. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Caller, I'll take your call before I go to the weather forecast. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Zeb. In California, PG&E, they shut off the power to all these people, because of the fire and the danger of fire.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you get the attorney that is suing PG&E on the phone and just see why they can justify shutting off these power for these people. These are people just like us. They'd like to be able to cook breakfast without using buffalo dung, as you refer to. It'd just be neat to hear what people who are doing without have to say.
Well, okay, stop right there, because that's the premise of why I called Idaho Power in the first place. Wouldn't you be much more comfortable even if it wasn't information provided that you really wanted to hear? In other words, if somebody comes on the program and they answered a question and they told you something you didn't like and you didn't want it to come to fruition, but you were appreciative that at least they were asked the question and they gave an answer. In Idaho Power's case, they are too cowardly. They are too arrogant, and they are too smug, and they don't have to talk to you, the ratepayer, me, the ratepayer, and they can just basically float their boat down the river without any adversity because we're just little people to them.
Well, they are afraid of the truth, and that's just about where it amounts to. They don't want to hear any opposition or advice or anything from anybody. They got all these green people like OAC that's promoting all this crap. And, my gosh, when they turn your lights off, I'd like to know why and what authority they have.
I agree, and I'll tell you this much, I'm not going to quit. I think Idaho Power thought, well, he'll go away. Zeb's just a little person. Well, this little person has developed an animus against Idaho Power that's not going to go away. The local representatives all the way up to the Boise headquarters, I absolutely tell them, you are cowards for not answering questions in a professional manner, and you have diminished your professional status with the entirety of the state of Idaho. Keith, I've got to run. Thank you, my dear friend.
You bet.
All right. Time for the weather, and the weather's brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And, boy, I'll tell you what, hearing is so important. And you want to make sure that you trust your hearing health to the professionals. Well, that's exactly what you're going to find at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Please call them today for an appointment for a hearing screening. The number to call, 417-8799. I'll repeat that number again, 417-8799. These are wonderful people serving you and all your hearing health needs. And believe me, you're going to be so glad you did. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears we may get a taste of winter this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 20% chance of rain showers by this afternoon, cloudy skies, and we are looking at a high of 55. It is going to be breezy, winds out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour, turning to the west by this afternoon, and could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, chance of rain before midnight. That could turn into snow showers in the overnight hours, mostly in the higher elevations, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 30. By tomorrow, slight chance of rain or snow in the morning. That's going to continue off and on throughout the day. Possible snow showers up in the higher elevations. We are expecting a high of 45, and winds could gust as high as 21 miles an hour. By Thursday, 20% chance of rain or snow before noon, partly sunny skies by the afternoon, and a high of 43. And then as we take a look at Friday, sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you for a great weather forecast. Right now, let's see, what have I got outside my window? 38 degrees. And good morning to Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids and their entire staff serving you and your hearing needs. Please contact them for an appointment at 417-8799. 417-8799, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I've got to get this story in. I'm so frustrated, and I'm so mad about towns, communities, and cities listening and kowtowing to maybe one or two people of complaint. Listen to this. You know, I'm a big proponent of Christmas, not holidays, Christmas. Well, in the town of, I got to get this right here, Durham, New Hampshire, they have decided that they are not going to have the annual Christmas tree lighting because they had a cowardly comment that they should change it. One person. So they're changing it so that it's not going to have any reflection on being a religious holiday, which it is. It's celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. And if they don't like that, it's time to tell people to get out of Dodge City. And they don't want anything Christmas-oriented like Santa Claus, etc. Here's what Durham, New Hampshire is going to do. They are going to have an absence now of the formal tree lighting. They didn't even put Christmas tree lighting in the sentence here. They're going to have an absence of the formal tree lighting this year. And they said that Santa Claus will not arrive in town on a fire truck as he has in the past. This town in New Hampshire has also said the wreaths that traditionally adorn lampposts on Main Street will not be present. They're going to be taken down and taken away. And there was a private citizen, I want to underline those words, a private citizen complained and said that he has always had a problem with Christmas and it didn't make him feel inclusive, so everybody's got to suffer. Ladies and gentlemen, cowards, milquetoast cowards are running cities and towns all across our country. And cowards that are being led by a minuscule, and boy, one person's pretty minuscule, number of antis. And I just absolutely don't know why we are losing the culture and the beauty and the history and the values of our country because of one or two people complaining. I couldn't care less about one or two people complaining. Put on your big boy pants, celebrate whatever you want to celebrate, but leave the rest of us alone. Holy smokes. They're going to call the tree the frost tree. Oh, isn't that sweet? And like I said, they're not going to have Santa Claus come into town on a fire truck, and all the wreaths are going to be taken down because one person, and I really couldn't care less about one person's opinion. Goodbye. Saddle your horse, take a ride. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, when you were a young child and your parents were stable and logical and you were loved and you grew up and Christmas was a wondrous time, and you said you said to yourself as you grew older that this is such an important event, not just because of the birth of Christ, but just for the structure of well-being in our country. And these people and what they do, our children are saddled with sexualism. They don't know what sex they are. They're saddled with 12 years we're going to be burning up in global warming. Christmas isn't allowed. And parents aren't doing their job. I just say to myself, what is it that these children have to look forward to if they don't have parents who are logical?
Yeah.
And so many don't.
I agree with you, Randy, but I'll tell you what, and I make a promise to you in the audience that there will never be any retraction of what Christmas really is about. There will never be a retraction of the words that highlight and celebrate Christmas and the meaning of Christmas on my program. And for those that have sent me emails in the past and those that have called and chewed me out and said, well, I'm not being inclusive, I couldn't care less about your attitude. I don't care. Christmas is Christmas and always will be Christmas to me, and what I say about it and what I do about it. I will not weaken to these absolute liberal loons.
Well, I tell you what, it is so scary, and you wonder if your children know anything. Like I said, I'm going to go to this thing tonight at the Taylor Building in CSI.
Real quick, Randy, I'm almost out of time. Real fast. Yeah.
And so, yes, I just hope that people realize what's important in life, and you just wonder if they're going to. I'll hang up.
All right, buddy. Thank you for your call, and it will always be Merry Christmas on this program. Don't expect anything else. I want to remind everybody, whatever the weather throws at you on the highways and byways, you can be prepared with the best and safest of driving tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best, all 7 locations. They've got all the tires, all the tread designs. They've got all the big dudes, the winter tires like the Himalaya, whichever area you're from. Never did really understand if it's proper to say Himalaya or Himalaya. Whatever, it's a doggone good tire. And the winter Cat Tire, they've got all your tire chains. Oh, yes, and don't forget they've got all your batteries to turn those engines over in the cold weather. I mean, they're really ready for any weather that comes down the pike. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. There is none better. The best, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and be prepared for the weather. Coming up next hour, we've got the president of American Energy Alliance, Tom Pyle, and he and Dan Kish and the rest of those folks, they are sharp, sharp cookies, and we're looking forward to having them on the air. And then there's going to be a lady coming on, I believe, I better not say it's a lady without checking. I think it is a lady by the name of Tracy Beans, and she's going to be on the air talking about the deep state at 9:30. 10 o'clock, we've got Dr. History, and then at 10:30, very, very good political analyst Dan Perkins coming back on the program. So take about 7 minutes, have another sip of coffee, have another donut, whatever. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, take it away. Oh, good morning and welcome back to hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday, November 19th. Thanksgiving right around the corner. Hey, don't forget we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for whatever the weather throws at you. And along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. All right, now let's hear this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services.
You know, you got Thanksgiving dinner coming up, don't you? And you've got all kinds of extra things in the house that you could do away with. You need to clean up. Oh, you need a dumpster. You need a dumpster. And I do, too, for this office. And they've got them in various sizes. All you need to do is call Western Waste Services and schedule to have them drop off a dumpster, fill it up. They'll come and get it. Hey, they are always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. You get a hold of them today. Want to also acknowledge right now, before we go to our guest, our friends over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and also Elite Fitness, and they own both of those operations to serve you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Plain and simple, if you're aching and paining and you're recouping from a surgery or from an accident, I urge you to get a hold of them. They've got the greatest of physical therapists, headed up by Nick Greenwell and the staff, that can help you get back to being you. That's not brag, that's a fact. Get a hold of them today. The number to call, 678-1191. I'll repeat that number, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You call them today. One other good word, and that, of course, is from our dear friends and your dear friends that have done so much to serve the community and families. When there's the passing of a loved one, I urge you to remember Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636, with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you. And serving really is the key word, always with the highest ethical standards and unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And remember, Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Let's go to the phone line right now, and we have with us this morning the president of the American Energy Alliance, and very happy to have him on the program. Hello, Tom Pyle. How are you?
Fantastic. How you doing?
If I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes, Tom.
Very good. Well, let me give you a little warning. You and your listeners need to hang on to your wallets real tight because it's budget season here in Washington.
Well, needless to say, I'm very cognizant of holding on to my billfold, and I'm so glad to have you on the program this morning because the Green New Deals are nothing more than a money-leeching business, if you will, to take more from the American taxpayer. Share with us what you mean when you say that.
Well, look, we all heard this big fanfare about this Green New Deal and a lot of press attention. Basically, it's a takeover of our economy and basically taking over from Washington our choices with respect to what we drive and how we cook our food and heat our homes and everything else. Well, everyone says, well, whatever happened to that thing? Did it die? What's the deal? Well, it's not passing in its sort of original form per se, but you can bet that the Democrats in the House are doing their darndest to pass it in chunks throughout the budget process, and also, as you've probably heard, some of the fine candidates running for president on the Democratic side have basically made some crazy ideas as well that they intend to pursue if they get elected. So the Green New Deal per se isn't law, but the Democrats are certainly trying to attack it piecemeal through the congressional budget process and through a bunch of tax credits and subsidies.
Well, let's be more defining. And Tom, I remember when you used to come on this program years ago, and by the way, it's welcome back. Glad to have you. But let's be more defining over this. What are they going to do? How is it going to affect us? And what are you looking for in your crystal ball of energy over the next 12 months or more?
Well, a lot will depend on the outcome next November. If you think about the leading candidates for the Democratic presidential nomination, two of them called for an outright ban on fracking. Well, guess what? Fracking has led to, over the last decade, an average of $4,000 in your wallet in savings, in energy savings. That's not chump change. You ban fracking, you basically increase the cost of natural gas, which has been used increasingly to not only replace coal in some instances, but also back up all this renewable stuff. You raise the price of that stuff, every person's utility bill is going to go through the roof. And more, unfortunately, or more poignantly, you might not even have electricity all the time. If you look at the situation in California, they're blaming blackouts, rolling blackouts on wildfires. But really, it's years of chasing the California Green New Deal, the utility, and not doing maintenance on their transmission lines. That's really the culprit of these blackouts. It's not the fires themselves. It's the fact that the utility had to spend billions of dollars on California's Green New Deal instead of fixing the transmission lines.
Right. Tom, here, and I've talked to Dan Kish about this numerous times, here the state of Idaho with Idaho Power has made an edict and sent it out and broadcast it to the world that they're going to go 100% total green energy by 2045. I, in turn, called them and asked them to come on my program and answer obvious questions about going green and the closing of coal-fired generating plants that have been very efficient and very good for the consumer, keeping costs down over the last many, many years, and they wouldn't come on the program and they wouldn't answer questions. They are cowards, arrogant cowards.
Well, listen, the people who are making the decision to, quote, go all green by 2045 aren't going to be around when the bill comes due. They're not going to be accountable to anybody. And that's the problem we have with these politicians and these business guys that are chasing all this stuff is they're making these proclamations about going green by, some long, distant, date in the future, and rearranging how we get our energy and threatening the reliability of our energy. We've spent our whole lives, Zeb, never worrying about whether the lights were going to come on. Never worrying about whether we were going to have that heat in the winter.
Yep.
Never worrying about those kind of things. We're going to have to start worrying about these things. We've already seen examples of this. Last year during the cold snap in the Midwest, the utilities forced people to reduce their thermostats because there wasn't enough energy. There wasn't enough electricity. Why? Because they couldn't get the gas in time and the wind stopped blowing. These consequences are real. People's lives could be put at risk as a result of chasing these green dreams. It's a real problem.
Why aren't politicians that supposedly wear the R on their left sleeve that says they're Republicans, and they have the Oval Office, plus they have the Senate, why aren't they coming out with a backbone and refuting and just literally taking their heel and grinding this green energy baloney into the dirt?
I think some of them are. I think you also suffer from this paranoia amongst politicians that, the public says that they want all this stuff because of climate change, but yet when you ask people, is climate change, a problem for them, or do they think it's a problem that needs to be solved, they say yes. When you ask them who should take care of it, the last person on their list is the government. Nobody trusts the government to do this. I'll give you a perfect example. The people who introduced the Green New Deal botched the rollout of the Green New Deal. They sent out a memo saying we're going to get rid of cows and airplanes and whatnot, and then they came back and said, that was an early draft. We made a mistake. Well, if they can't even get the rollout right, how are we going to trust them with control of our entire economy? And that's what they're really asking for, is for the federal government to decide who gets the energy, how the energy gets produced, what kind of cars we can drive, what kind of lifestyle we can live.
That's right.
That's what they want, but they're not competent to do any of that stuff, and the public knows it.
Well, let's just be straight up from the get-go. This is kind of like Matt Dillon walking down the streets of Dodge City at the opening of the old TV show at Gunsmoke. Let's just call it what it is. I am not a believer in climate change or / global warming. I've had too many great scientists and people that are far more educated than some of these climate change kooks explain to me about the cyclical advances of weather going now into a cooling trend, and we as humans are not capable of controlling the thermostat of the atmosphere and climate. And any idiot that thinks we can, they'd better go back to grade school 101, because God himself is the only one with his hand on the thermostat.
Well, let's address what this really is. This is an organizing tool for the left. The left has their wish list is to control energy, control the economy, and redistribute wealth.
That's right.
Even the author's chief of staff of the Green New Deal said point blank, this isn't about climate change. This is about completely restructuring the economy and fundamentally changing our way of life.
It's the Obama syndrome.
That's not me making that up.
That's right.
He said this point blank about the Green New Deal.
That's right. I go back to blame Barack Obama and his staff, and those are the words, a reinvigoration and a reinventing of society are the words that were used, and that's exactly what these people are doing.
Yeah, listen, I've been in D.C. now for probably longer than any normal human being should. And Barack Obama's policies were bad for families. They were, basically, as you said, trying to fundamentally change the way that the way that Americans, feel about each other, feel about America. He's kind of looking milquetoast compared to some of these candidates.
Yes, true.
This is a real hard left Democrat Party that potentially, if they get the reins again next November in the White House, could take it even beyond what President Obama had tried to accomplish.
Yeah, but Tom, where do we start? I mean, even in the kindergartens ages, at schools, the elementary classes, high school, college, I mean, we're turning out students that absolutely are brought up in the thinking that, oh, we're bad people. Why, we've got to go live in a cave and burn buffalo dung. I mean, how do we change this idiocy?
Well, it's a really hard thing to do. I mean, the public schools are, very government-focused, very secular. I think it starts at home. I mean, my kids know where their electricity comes from. My kids understand what the value of these resources are. They are not anti-coal. They talk to me about what they learn in school, and I give them the real story, so to speak, the real deal. I try to give them a more rounded perspective. There's only so much we can do short of pulling them out of school and homeschooling them. And some people can do that, and I think that's great. But you're really right, though. I mean, this whole culture of sort of scaring the children into thinking that people are just so bad and destroying the planet has really permeated the mainstream. But you look at the air quality numbers in this country are leaps and bounds improved over the last several decades. We are cleaner. Our water is cleaner. Our air is cleaner. We are doing, unbelievable amounts of progress with respect to the environmental issues that matter to us, our health, our well-being, our ability to be outdoors and explore God's, what God has given us. And so we just need to have kids, get another side of this story. It starts at home, in my view, and we just got to push through it. We got to get through this dark time, if you will.
Do these clowns looking for a circus like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others of her ilk, do they realize that with their push for green energy and the ultimate of what they want would be the ruination of families going to church, families going to the movies, families going to a baseball or football game, families being able to go to the supermarket, families being able to take a night out to go to the restaurant? I mean, there is absolutely going to be a curtailment of all a free country stands for, and this is where I really get my hackles up.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that the folks that, for the most part, that are for all of this won't be affected by it. The ones that are proposing that the government take over our energy and our economy as a result would be the ones making the decisions. They're the ones being swept back and forth in SUVs. They're the ones taking airplanes home every weekend, right? They're not practicing what they preach, certainly. It's sort of a climate change for thee, but not for me type attitude.
We have a caller with a question or a comment. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go.
Yeah, on this fossil fuel deal, isn't that kind of a fraudulent statement anymore? How long is this fossil fuel production going to hold? I mean, it seems like it's more of a natural occurring earth deal than this fossil fuel.
Yeah, that's all I have. We never use the term fossil fuel because we don't believe that that's what it is. It is an organic sort of material that, in the history of us revising the estimates of coal, oil, and natural gas, they've never been revised downward. We've always found more. We've always been able to get the resources. Shale has been around. We knew it was there. When the technology came along and the price was right, that's when we got after it. And so that is a really good point. We haven't even talked about methane hydrates yet, which are basically frozen natural gas. That the amount of resources we have there dwarfs all of our coal and natural gas combined. It's astounding how much of these resources that we have here in the United States under our lands and our waters. We're the richest energy nation in the world, and we can continue to produce this resource for hundreds of years.
Tom, you're the president of American Energy Alliance. I want you to take a minute, I'm down to the last 4 minutes in this segment, and just explain what you do, who you are, and what you hope to do for the American public.
Yeah, we are based in D.C., but we're really here to help. Our job is to give you, the listeners, the tools to effectively participate in this process. If you log on to our website, AmericanEnergyAlliance.org, you will get knowledge, you will get tools to comment, to write your congressman, to write the administration. You'll be able to push out our messages on your social media platforms. Our job is to be the watchdog for consumers and to push both Republicans and Democrats into towards the right direction with respect to our energy freedom and our energy resources.
Tom, of all you know and everything that is piled on your desk every morning in front of you, how concerned are you right now as to where we are at as a nation? 1, not too bad, 10 being really scary. How worried are you leading up to the 2020 elections in regards to energy and what might happen?
Well, in spite of the government, in spite of the policies, in spite of the things that they're either are doing or not doing, I'm bullish about American energy production. However, I'm very concerned about the outcome of the next election. A Democrat Senate, they will likely surely lift the legislative filibuster. If the Democrats take the White House and control Congress, all of the progress that we've made with respect to making our energy affordable and available will stop and will start to be reversed on the altar of climate change. So I'm bullish, but I'm worried about the outcome of November. We've got to mobilize and make sure that we have pro-energy, pro-freedom candidates elected next November.
Absolutely. Boy, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation this morning. Tom Pyle, the president of American Energy Alliance, and say hello to my good buddy Dan Kish, and please, any one of you come back in the future. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Wow, he spells it out like it is and what we better be concerned about. And I'll just be blunt. That's the only way to be. We cannot, I'll emphasize the word not, we cannot let the Democrats have power in the next election, or they will take away our power. I mean, they want control. They don't want you driving your pickup. They don't want you driving that car to go to the supermarket or take the kids to a basketball game. They don't want you driving down to Salt Lake to see the Jazz play. They don't want you doing anything. They don't want you going out for a restaurant. They don't even want you to have Thanksgiving. They've come out and said that because all the travel, that's not good for the climate. These people are insidious and they're evil and they're stupid. We cannot let the Democrats even fill a position of dog catcher. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I got to tell you, they've got a big pre-Black Friday sale going on right now, and it's called the Big Door Buster Sale. Man, I'll tell you what, they've got 50% off on retail prices on select items. You better get in there. And, just check out all the furniture. Check out all the recliners. Check out all the bedroom sets. Check out all the carpeting and flooring. Check out all the window coverings. I mean, wow, what a store. It's beautiful in there. And they want to help you with the comfortization and beautification of your home. Stop in. Check it out today at 459 Overland in Burley. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Really good people. By the way, talking about really good people, caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and they've got all your snowmobiles, all your snow bikes, all your fun. Stop over and see them today. Absolutely. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4, and they've got a tremendous big accessory department for your Christmas shopping, and they've also got a great service department to keep you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Caller, real quick. I've only got a minute. Real fast.
Yes, for them not wanting the people out in the Netherlands, out in the rural areas, to travel, They sure are missing the boat on where their food actually comes from and how it's made and where life actually starts. It doesn't start in the big cities pushing papers. It starts on the farm planting the seed and growing the calves and milking the cows and the chickens and what have you. And I'll let you go.
No, I appreciate it, Riley. They are very unintelligent people. They're very they're stupid. They have no clue as to what real life is all about or the progression of real life. And if we don't stand up and call it what it is and fight back, we're going to be the ones, like I said, wearing animal skins, living in a cave, and freezing because we couldn't find enough buffalo dung, and the environmentalists will stop that fire anyway. This is insane. We've got to fight back. I'll be with my guest momentarily. Stand by. Don't forget, we want to remind everybody about the best in life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits from Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Matter of fact, at about 11 o'clock this morning, I'll be talking to Todd, and I urge you to give them a call, make an appointment, let them serve you. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, the best serving you, Highway 24 in Rupert. Right now, let's go to the phone line and visit with the lady that is going to tell us all about the deep state and anti-Trump and George Soros, etc. Tracy Beans, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm going to tell you straight up, Tracy. I am really getting mad. I've been throwing things at my television set here in the Mountain Time Zone since 7 o'clock when Adam Shifty Schiff started another hearing of wastefulness and throwing our money down the toilet. Thank you for asking how I am today.
I'm feeling the same frustration, to be honest. Don't worry, you're not alone.
Well, okay, I want to start things off very simplistically this morning. Everybody talks about, the deep state, the dangers of the deep state. I want you to take a little bit of time and explain what in the heck the deep state is to my listeners this morning.
Sure. So what's been come to be known as the deep state basically represents a combination of elected and unelected bureaucrats who think that they know better what is best for the American people than the American people do. And they go about enacting their policy visions by scooting around established norms, defying the President of the United States, defying the laws that we have on the books, and basically doing what they feel is best.
That was very well stated. Now, I know that you're an investigative reporter and editor of Uncover DC, and I'm sure that you know a whole bunch more about what's going on. You've got the dirt on a lot of people in a lot of situations. This mess that's going on right now in the Ways and Means Committee room is ridiculous. I said earlier it's a waste of money, and it's nothing more than the Democrats trying to create a crime and then tie Trump to it. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I do think, though, a lot of folks are misguided on the reasons behind it. While on the surface, everybody talks about it being just the Democrats trying to make sure that Trump doesn't get reelected. There's a much more sinister plot here going on than just that. By doing this, they're basically shining the light away from the focus on the crimes that they've committed and trying to cover themselves by reflecting those crimes back on to a president who has not committed them. And so as we got deeper into the investigation of what happened in Ukraine during the 2016 election, what happened with Joe Biden and Burisma and the State Department in the United States prior to that, it began to become clear that these changes that President Trump is implementing in foreign policy, his interaction with other foreign leaders, was going to expose the malfeasance that had been going on for decades before. And so in an attempt to cover that up, we find ourselves sitting where we're sitting right now.
Tracy, I have got in my hand the transcript. I've had it from the first day that it was made public of the talking points with President Zelensky and President Donald Trump. I've read it so many times and highlighted it and underlined it, it's almost worthless to try to read. So many times I've read it. I do not see the demanding. I do not see the quid pro quo. I do not see anything the Democrats are alleging, and I see this as nothing more than just absolute garbage. How wrong do you think I am, or do you agree with me?
I do agree with you. Further into that, though, we have Lieutenant Colonel Vindman testifying today alongside Jennifer Williams, who is Vice President Pence's on his team, so to speak, and Devin Nunes cornered Lieutenant Colonel Vindman today a little bit earlier. It was quite a sight. He asked him questions about who the leaker was and if he had any knowledge of anybody that had leaked the stuff that was in the call to the press, etc., so on and so forth. And it really tripped up Lieutenant Colonel Vindman because, as many are reporting now, like Sean Davis from the Federalist, and as I've been reporting for the past week at least, it appears as though Lieutenant Colonel Vindman was the individual who leaked to this fake whistleblower the contents of the call. If you recall, Vindman testified he was trying to make substantive changes to the transcript of that call, but it was moved to a secure server where it was, outside of the hands of any other folks. And it appears that Nunes and the Republicans are narrowing in on him now and trying to pin him down on this. We don't have anything firm confirming it yet, but I can tell you it's my belief that Lieutenant Colonel Vindman leaked to whoever this whistleblower who wrote this report was and leaked the contents of the call that were inaccurate, causing this entire thing in the first place.
I've got to ask you this, and some of my questions may be relatively simplistic to your investigative reporting, but please bear with me. How many people, in your estimation and study, were actually privy to first-hand hearing of the phone call?
It was probably anywhere between 20 and 30 people.
Okay, now I could start a rumor at point A with 20 or 30 people. And by the time we went around a big circle and came back to go, that story's going to be completely distorted.
Yes, to the extent that it was in the whistleblower complaint, I'm not so sure. It was really, really night and day from what was actually said on that call. So you could play around the telephone and maybe add a few more details, but to me personally, this looks a lot more manufactured.
When you use the word manufactured, I'm going to jump in and say big money, big money, big money. And that leads me to someone that I absolutely detest, and that's George Soros and others of his ilk. My personal opinion on what I've read, what I've studied, etc., this man has such a vile hatred for the United States of America, and I still can't understand why. He made a lot of his money right here. Why George Soros is so hell-bent on destroying politicians, Donald Trump, and America?
Well, Soros has a Fabian socialist view of the world, and that's what he'd like to see the world look like. And he spent approximately $65 billion of his own money attempting to get it there. He does not agree with American sovereignty. He does not agree with freedom. He does not agree with any of the things that make America the country that it is. And he's been on a quest for a long time now to try and move our country further to the left, like what we're seeing right now, and basically destroy it from within. And he does that by buying off politicians. He does that by funding local law enforcement races like district attorneys, et cetera, so on and so forth, trying to not quickly replace what we've got, but slowly, over time, move it in the direction that he would like to see it go.
You know, Tracy, you are so valuable with your information, and explain to me, everybody says George Soros as a single entity, but you know and I know that it's not a single entity. He must have a network of command or commanding people that are underneath him. How big is his network as far as people that work for him and further his ideas?
I'm not sure how many employees he has working at his various foundations and stuff, but he does operate, I believe at last check, in over 150 countries. The country where he has the most open society offices is actually Ukraine. He has 5 offices for Open Society Foundation in Ukraine. He has 3 in the United States, which is second only to Ukraine. So he has a very vested interest in what's happening in that country, hence the ties that we're seeing to a lot of the folks testifying, like William Taylor, and some other people as well.
You just raised my eyebrows. I mean, I'm sitting here going, holy smokes, it looks like the link in the chain has been found if Soros and his ilk are really protective of Ukraine and possibly what's going on there. No wonder there's a lot of money spent by the Democrats to hurt Donald Trump.
Yeah, he's a big piece of this puzzle for sure. It's been an ongoing struggle with Ukraine for years and years. The State Department sometimes working hand in hand with his foundations and non-governmental organizations. It goes back a long way. It's very serious. I really do recommend that everybody learn about this because it is crucial to what's happening in our country right now.
What about, and I really wanted to ask you about this earlier, but what about Attorney General Barr? What about the Horowitz findings, the new study coming out, the Durham report, all of this combined? What are they going to find out perhaps about the likes of James Comey, perhaps about the likes of Clapper and others that from the get-go were trying to subvert the Trump administration?
Well, it's very clear that, today, just this morning, the Department of Justice Inspector General released a 64-page report about the FBI's handling of confidential human sources within the Bureau and how they were handled, or I should say mishandled. They have not followed any established procedure or norm in handling their confidential sources at all, which leads to the next report, which is the FISA report that's going to comprise what happened when they got the FISA warrant, what procedures weren't followed, what kind of criminality was there, if any. And a large bulk of that FISA report was gathered from a confidential human source in Christopher Steele. So it's basically setting the table, and I think that this is why there's this rush to get through these impeachment hearings, because there will be accountability. Attorney General Barr gave a speech on Friday at the Federalist Society where he clearly said that the Democrats in this country are the ones undermining the rule of law and outlined some of what we've been talking about today. And I think they're trying to get out ahead of it to keep that from being the story and using the impeachment hearings to do it. And they weren't supposed to be interviewing so many people today, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in rapid fashion now. There's been a hearing set with Lindsey Graham in the Senate Judiciary Committee for December 11th. And given that we heard last night this report is going to probably be close to 1,000 pages long, I can expect it within probably the next 7 to 10 days.
Tracy, with your knowledge of everything that's going on, more in-depth knowledge than anybody else I've talked to on this program, what about the final bottom line? That all this is a funded support for the Democrats to damage the 2020 re-election of Donald Trump. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. They haven't got a horse in the race that can beat Donald Trump. I don't care if it's Warren. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care who it is. They haven't got a horse in the race that can come even close to him. So this is the way that they're going to try to sway the election, is with the damaging of Donald Trump. Right or wrong?
That is one component of it for sure. Again, I really do feel like it's much bigger than that. There is if they can successfully stop Donald Trump from being elected the way they'd like to, then they can then quash these investigations and quash the ongoing matters. I have a source in D.C. in the Justice Department that I spoke to, and this stuff is going to come. It's going to take longer than they had originally anticipated due to everything they've uncovered, but I am of the firm belief that we will see accountability, and they want to stop that, because the last thing that the Democrats and some Republicans in this country need is for all of the wrongdoing during 2016 to come to light right before the 2020 presidential election.
Let me ask you this, Tracy. The Iowa caucus really not that far away, and the Democrats, I think the word rush that you used, I think is a good word. They want to get this thing all out of the way and swept off the floor before the Iowa caucus. But what about the Senate? I mean, this thing isn't going to go anywhere. I mean, sure, there can be a recommendation for impeachment by the House, but when it goes to the Senate, it's going to be a slam dunk and file 13, empty the garbage, right or wrong?
Well, there's a couple different perspectives on this, and I think I tend to agree with the one I'm about to tell you now. Mitch McConnell understands the necessity here, or the ability here that he'll have to keep this thing going in the Senate as long as he possibly can in order to affect the Iowa caucus, right? So a lot of the candidates running for president right now are senators. If they're not in these hearings, they cannot vote. And their vote will then take votes away from the Democrat side to impeach President Trump. It'll widen the Republican margin. So it will accomplish two things. It will take these Democrats off the campaign trail in the heat of their campaign season, and it will also cause them to remain in those hearings until the vote is had. And President Trump will have the ability to call any witness at that point that he wants to. So wouldn't it be interesting if he started calling Hunter Biden or Hillary Clinton or James Comey or any of them up to sit for these hearings?
Let me ask you this on a personal level. Do you at any time, Tracy, fear for your safety as an investigative reporter when you're uncovering a lot of mud and murk and vileness that's going on in politics today? Do you ever have to keep looking over your shoulder?
I always conduct myself in that way because you do never know. But I'm listen, a lot of what journalists do nowadays is all open source research, meaning if they give you a lot of the answers that you need are right in front of you. You could find them if you knew where to look. Outside of that, I'm doing what I feel like I was called to do at this time in history, honestly. So whatever that means at the end of the day, I'm ready for, and I'm just going to keep going.
You know, and Tracy, let me say this. You're very articulate, very straightforward, and that seems to be lacking in journalism today in its entirety. I mean, whether it's ABC, CBS, CNN, it doesn't make any difference. Why do you think journalism and journalists have changed and gone into the pocket of the far left?
You know, it's a multifaceted question. Thanks for the compliment, by the way. It's a multifaceted question, and a lot of it, I always wonder, because we know, we've heard that Fusion GPS was paying some of the reporters that it was working with, and I haven't seen anything yet, but there's been a very cozy relationship between legacy media journalists and the intelligence agencies, and I don't put it past any of these folks to be working directly for or as contractors to the intelligence agencies. They're one and the same. And it became propaganda, and they're all just as desperate to stop the truth from coming out as the rest of the bad guys. It's horrible because the American people need information to make informed decisions about, everything from candidates to, where they put their money to, how they go about their daily business. It's sad, and I really do feel like in some cases the media has been complicit in the acts committed because of the way they've handled themselves. And we need to stop it. We need to fix journalism. It's so crucial to a free country. So that's what I'm attempting to do with Uncover DC.
These 3 words I extend to you, and I mean them. God bless you for what you're doing. And I tell my audience to check out uncoverdc.com or at Tracy Beans for real-time updates. And this lady is sharp. Tracy, you got to make me one promise you'll come back in the future. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much. I'd love to. Thanks for having me, and thanks for your kind words.
Thank you very, very much. There is a lady that I enjoy visiting with. She's very straightforward, and she knows what's going on. Absolutely excellent. Tracy Beans. And I want to thank Deanne a little bit. She helped me pursue getting that lady on the air, and we had a little difficulty for a while, and then all of a sudden it came to fruition, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Wow. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for over 50 years. I mean, listen, you want to work with the professionals, you want to work with the best, well then, slam dunk. Work with Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. The list goes on and on. They are the best at what they do, and they've got 2 offices to serve you in Burley and Rupert. Please remember the name. Call them today. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears we may get a taste of winter this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 20% chance of rain showers by this afternoon, cloudy skies, and we are looking at a high of 55. It is going to be breezy, winds out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour, turning to the west by this afternoon, and could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, chance of rain before midnight. That could turn into snow showers in the overnight hours, mostly in the higher elevations, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 30. By tomorrow, slight chance of rain or snow in the morning. That's going to continue off and on throughout the day. Possible snow showers up in the higher elevations. We are expecting a high of 45, and winds could gust as high as 21 miles an hour. By Thursday, 20% chance of rain or snow before noon, partly sunny skies by the afternoon, and a high of 43. And then as we take a look at Friday, sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Man, I tell you what, break out the long johns. Hey, our weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. As I said earlier, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. You get a hold of them today. Let them help you. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company in Burley and in Rupert. By the way, I want to remind you that the next in a documentary series, the Center for Self-Governance and the Crane Family invites you to view the documentary Lavoie, Dead Man Talking, Episode 4, Hero or Villain. This is going to be at the Burley Best Western Convention Center, 800 North Overland Avenue in Burley, on this Friday night at 7 p.m. And Wheels, turn the music off, please. Thank you. And don't forget that this Friday night, November 22nd at 7 p.m., the Center for Self-Governance and the Crane Family inviting you to episode 4 of this documentary. Please be there. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know something, Zeb? You know, I get pretty mad. And so earlier today I was very upset, and I still am. And every day you say to yourself, well, what is it that I can do? The first thing I can do is be as good a man as I can, honest and moral, and be a best father and husband I can, be honest in my business dealings, and, think that if I sow good seeds, I will reap a good harvest. But I'm only me. So I've done pretty well with my family. But I watch and I don't, I just don't know how you solve it. But I know that I can't quit. I can't give up. And I have to fight like hell. And you work so hard trying to do your job right, raise your children, take care of your business, take care of your property. And then you see people who are willfully destroying everything about America, the family, and the structure of everything, government. They're such filthy liars. There are no words to describe what these people are doing to our country.
Well, and that's why it's refreshing, Randy. And I can't let you rattle on here. I've got time constraints, but I want to say this to you before you hang up. That's why it's refreshing to hear someone involved in the news media, someone as a journalist like this Tracy Bean that's uncovering all this evil and telling us about it, writing about it, and proving that it's true. That's why we're very fortunate still to have some people in our society that are honest.
Well, let's just hope this, that Trump wins re-election, the deep state is exposed, the Russia probe is exposed, the people that deserve to go to jail, find out, who killed Epstein, and there's so much to do.
I agree. Speaking of to do, I've got to get a commercial in here real quick, Randy. God bless you, man. Appreciate your call back. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody that happy Thanksgiving wishes from Magic Valley Irrigation at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Jeff and the entire crew at Magic Valley Irrigation want to thank all the farmers and ranchers for providing the food that we eat. They've been offering irrigation system service and repair since 1978. Magic Magic Valley Irrigation. Also, thanks to Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, they wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And if you need new carpet, don't forget they are your flooring needs headquarters at Magic Valley Carpet in Rupert. And last but not least, our dear, dear friend, Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Hayburn. And he says, always remember the true meaning of the season, and especially remember the senior centers. Happy Thanksgiving, Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go, please.
Yes, Deb, this is Ross, and I'm just kind of wondering, okay, I watched the football game last night. With all the turmoil that we've been having with Mexico, why did we have to take the NFL teams down there and play in one of their situations? But anyway, I will hang up and let you maybe kind of figure it out.
Yeah, you know what?
Go down there in the first place.
I really appreciate your comments. I appreciate your comments, and I'm going to tell you right now, because the NFL game was in Mexico, I didn't watch it. And this is just purely my own opinion. But the NFL, like the NBA, so greedy for more money and more markets, if you will, for their product and bigger money, more expansion, just like the NBA. I absolutely found it appalling. We've got problems with Mexico. We've got problems with our border. And yet we make everything seem rosy red and ready to be wrapped and put under the tree. And I'm against it. I did not like it. I showed my own little disdain for it by not watching the game, because I will not support Mexico or NFL football going to Mexico. Call me biased? Absolutely I am, and I'm proud of it. Thank you very much. That is going to wrap it up for this hour, and I want to quickly also remind you about Greystone Crossing. I'm just running a little bit late here. Stand by, bear with me. Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn, and I urge seniors to call and ask to get a guided appointment to look at the facilities and consider moving into a beautiful location, a 12-bedroom home with 3 meals a day, housekeeping, snacks, local transportation to get where you need to go. It's really a valuable feature in the community. Absolutely. Greystone Crossing. Give them a call. Kelly and Matt at 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. Greystone Crossing, Independent Senior Living. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the news from CBS. We did it again. Oh, yeah. One thing about Dr. History and myself, we will be sitting here visiting and probably let the world roll right on by. I almost missed the cue. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, and I really want to remind everybody about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires to get you through anything the weather throws at you, okay? Stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, our wonderful friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with their friends. Happy Thanksgiving wishes from Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul, South of Paul, 600 South of Paul. Don't go the wrong way, Vicky. You'll get mad at me. They've got all your gardening needs, and don't forget, for Christmas holidays, gift certificates for great stocking stuffers. Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. Golden Valley Warehouse, 1000 South, 468 West of Burley. These are really nice people. Quality seed, barley, wheat, triticale, oats, alfalfa, everything right there with a friendly staff at Golden Valley Warehouse, wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. And last but not least, Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West of Paul, and also on Kimberly Road. They've got 2 great locations. Butte Irrigation with the tagline, "Will get you wet." They wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Right now, on this Tuesday, the 19th day of November, just days away from Thanksgiving Day, here he is with all of his help, his entourage, Dr. History.
Good
How are
morning,
you?
Zeb.
Good to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
Are
Yeah.
you ready for Thanksgiving?
You know, I am. I hope we all remember really why we celebrate Thanksgiving.
Amen.
You know, this kind of beautiful country that we live in. So, yeah, looking forward to that, being together with family and friends.
Okay, and by the way, how big a bird do you have to stick in the oven to feed all year?
Well, this is our year to have all of our kids and grandkids come for Christmas and not for Thanksgiving. So it'll just be a small bird.
Small bird.
Maybe a pigeon. I don't know. It won't take much.
Okay, what are we going to talk about today?
You know, a lot of times I've talked about people nobody's ever heard about.
Yeah.
Today I'm going to talk about two guys that I think everybody's heard about.
Oh, okay.
Jesse and Frank James.
There's a lot of misunderstanding about them.
There is.
Is there not?
There is. And what I'm going to tell today, again, is another author's version of what happened with them. So,
and the dirty little
death,
coward, Mr. Howard, and all that.
Yeah, they shot Mr. Howard. Yeah, so we'll just go through this, and hopefully it's fairly accurate. That's all I can say.
Well, shoot your silver bullet.
Right, here we go. So it's 1842. Okay, Robert and Zerelda James moved from Kentucky to a farm in Clay County, Missouri, where Reverend James assumed the pastorate of a nearby Baptist church. On January 10th, 1843, their first child, Alexander Franklin, was born.
Did you realize that a lot of families in the Old West, they were bad people, but they had reverends in their family?
Yeah. So Alexander Franklin was born, followed by another son, Jesse Woodson. James. That was on September 5th, 1847.
Okay.
Well, Frank and Jesse lost their dad, who he kind of succumbed to the gold fever. He journeyed to California, where he got sick and he died. So that left his mother. But she was a kind of a strong-willed person. She quickly remarried, but this marriage kind of failed because this new stepfather was mean to Frank and Jesse, didn't treat him very good. So Zerelda entered into a third marriage in 1855 with kind of an easygoing but fairly prosperous guy by the name of Dr. Reuben Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the growing family remained on the old James farm even. They even had a few slaves, and they were sympathetic to the Confederacy when the Civil War erupted, resulting in their mistreatment of some of the Unionists. Well, and Frank actually joined William Quantrell's famous band of guerrilla warriors.
Oh, really?
Guerrillas, and there's a whole story about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah,
So Frank was older than Jesse.
Right.
And by how many years?
Just a couple, 1847 and 1843, so about 4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yeah. But Frank participated in the vicious raid on Lawrence, Kansas on August 21st, 1863.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse began to ride with the raiders the next year. He was one of 30 men led by Bloody Bill Anderson.
I remember that.
Bad guy. Into Centralia, Missouri on September 27th, 1864. And there, the guerrillas executed 25 unarmed Union soldiers in cold blood.
Yeah, I remember that.
This was a terrible day in the history of the United States.
Right.
Anyway, at that time, Jesse actually suffered some severe wounds twice while riding with Quantrell, but he recovered enough to where he could go out and loot and raid until the end of the war. So Jesse and Frank returned to the family farm after the war, but their wartime experiences kind of headed them down a road that was not very good, and they had a more of a natural inclination to grip the handle of their revolvers instead of a plow.
Well put.
Yeah. So on the morning of February 13th, 1866, a dozen riders pulled off the first daylight bank robbery in United States history. And I didn't realize this was the very first one.
In daylight.
Yeah. They were looting the Clay County Savings Bank in Liberty, Missouri, of $57,000.
Wow.
Now that's a lot
That
of money.
was a lot of money back then.
Oh yeah. Now as the gang galloped out of town, whooping and yelling and everything, they gunned down a local college student by the name of George Wymore, and it was long been assumed that James and Cole Younger, who was a former lieutenant of Quantrill's, were the ringleaders behind this job.
So when did they have the affiliation with the Younger brothers?
It started right about in here, because Cole Younger was with them in 1866.
I see.
So they joined together, Frank and Jesse.
What kind of personalities were they? Kind of evil and sinister, or what?
Well, let me go along here, because there's some that claim they were kind of a Robin Hood type person, and others just the opposite. So, and I think that'll come out as we go along here. So, for the next decade, the James Younger gang robbed banks, stores, stagecoaches. After 1873, they struck trains in Missouri and in the surrounding states. Cole Younger and his brothers, Jim, Bob, and John, so there were 4 of the Younger brothers, they were kind of the stalwarts of the band, and Frank James was a frequent participant, so they didn't always ride together, but quite a bit. Now, Jesse actually, despite being younger than Frank and Cole Younger, became the leader of the gang. So
how come that happened?
I don't know. You know, some people just have a natural ability to be a leader. And for whatever reason, he was ruthless, he was assertive, he was smart, he was quick on the trigger, and Jesse was a natural outlaw leader. And Cole actually disliked Jesse sometimes, and sometimes led his own holdups, but they were in addition to those he committed with the James Younger gang. So sometimes they'd split up and go their separate ways to rob and one thing and another. But because of their notoriety, the James Younger gang tended to get blamed for every robbery in the whole area.
I see.
Anytime anything happened, well, it was the James Younger. So, anyway, Jesse sometimes published letters proclaiming his innocence, insisting that he had alibis for the time when certain holdups had occurred. So, he was trying to clear his name from some of the things that he was being blamed for.
Did they ever, during the course of all these robberies, ever go back to their homestead?
Yes.
And why weren't they caught doing that?
Well, and we'll get to that, too.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, you know, folklore tends to portray Frank and Jesse James as the Robin Hoods of the Wild West. They preyed on banks and railroads. They supposedly struck back at the banks and railroads who had taken land out from under small farmers and poor country people. But the members
all because of the Civil War, right?
Right.
Okay.
And the big money could just, I don't know, kind of take over farms and one thing another if they wanted to. But the members of the James Younger gang were not folk heroes. They were violent men. They robbed and occasionally killed. So they weren't really the Robin Hoods of the West. Now, one of their more violent robberies occurred on December 7th, 1869 in Gallatin, Missouri. The James brothers nursed a grudge against the bank's owner, a guy by the name of John W. Sheets, and he was a former Civil War officer. Now, posing as customers, Jesse and Frank entered the bank. They started talking some minor transactions with this guy named Sheets. Well, when Sheets began writing, one of the brothers shot him in the head and the heart. Just boom.
Wow.
As a clerk, there was a clerk by the name of William McDowell. He ran for the door. He was wounded in the arm, but he shouted that Sheets had been killed. Well, Jesse and Frank, they dashed outside with several $100s, and during the commotion, the brothers lost one of their horses, and they rode out of Gallatin on one horse. They doubled up. They stole another from a farmer, and then they took off south toward Clay County.
Let me ask you this question. Were the Jameses known by their physical appearance to where people could recognize them, like when they went into a bank?
You know, originally, no. But as time went on, as they became more famous, you know, back then, I'll show you a couple of pictures here that I don't know when those pictures were taken or how they could be recognized, you know. So I don't really know how they could be recognized just on sight. But there was a reward of $3,000 was offered for Frank and Jesse after the Gallatin murder and robbery. And a week later, 4 bounty hunters surrounded the James family farm, as Deputy Sheriff John Thompson approached the farmhouse. Jesse and Frank ran out of the barn. They jumped on some fast horses. There was an exchange of gunfire, followed by a running chase with Thompson leading the pursuit. At one point, Thompson reined in his horse. He got off his horse, and he rested his gun across the saddle to fire at the Jameses. The deputy's horse jumped and riderless. It pulled up beside the outlaws, and one of the brothers shot the horse dead, and the Jameses, outdistanced their pursuers. Now, Zeb, you and I have been around horses a lot, okay? And I've gone elk hunting, deer hunting. I would never take my rifle and set it across the saddle of my horse to shoot at a deer.
Yeah.
So why did this sheriff, it just wasn't a smart move on his...
I can tell you this, with my horse Stinger, if I were to take a 30-30 and shoot on him or near him, they wouldn't find me for 3 weeks.
Or the horse.
Yeah.
That's right. Anyway, not a very smart move by the sheriff there. So anyway, legends about Frank and Jesse James also stressed their regard for the common folk. But on more than one occasion, innocent bystanders were harmed or killed during their robberies. And in the fall of 1872, the gang attempted what they thought would be an easy heist. 3 mounted gang members robbed the ticket seller at the Kansas City Fair. Now, that's kind of an interesting robbery.
At the fair?
At the county fair.
Really?
So one of the thieves, maybe Jesse, grabbed the tin cash box and cleaned it out. As he was fighting off the ticket seller, a guy named Ben Wallace, the thief pulled a pistol and fired a wild shot. Well, it hit a little girl in the leg.
Uh-oh.
At that point, the robbers took off. They galloped away. So, anyway, the James Younger gang branched out into train robbery on July 21st, 1873 at Adair, Iowa. Now, to stop their target, the outlaws pulled up a rail from the tracks. Well, obviously, this sent the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific train off the tracks into a ditch, killed the engineer.
Oh, my.
The bandits then looted the express car, collected valuables from the passengers before escaping. So
they were better at train robbery than Butch Cassidy.
They did a little better. But, ruthlessness aside, the James brothers were not without a sense of humor. On January 31st, 1874, 5 masked members of the James Younger gang barged into the depot at Gads Hill, Missouri, held everyone at gunpoint until a train pulled into the station. After robbing the passengers and the express car of the train, the outlaws left a note detailing exactly what they had done. But they deliberately left out the amount of the stolen money from they didn't put that in there. And because they said, quote, "We prefer this to be published in the newspapers rather than the grossly exaggerated accounts that usually appear after one of our jobs." So they wanted to set the record straight on, what did we actually get? Well, the governor of Missouri offered a $2,000 reward for each member of the gang, while the U.S. postal authorities kicked in another $5,000. Again, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, boy.
And the governor of Arkansas added another $2,000, so we're now up to, $9,000.
So they're wanted in Arkansas, Missouri.
Yeah, and who knows where else.
And pretty soon Minnesota.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, seriously.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the Pinkerton Detective Agency put one of its best guys on here.
Yeah.
John W. Witcher was his name. But within a month, he was found dead. He'd been shot in the stomach, head, and shoulder, and certain that Jesse and the gang members had killed Wiltshire, the Pinkerton Agency launched a determined effort to find these guys. They killed one of their best guys. Well, the gang members went underground, but on April 23rd, Jesse married his lifelong sweetheart. Her name was Z. Mims. Okay, and such family functions as Jesse's marriage led to the Pinkertons to discover that Jesse and Frank periodically slipped back to the old farm to visit their family. That's what you asked about.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Well, a posse of unidentified men who were probably Pinkertons surrounded the James farm one night in January 1875. Thinking that the James brothers were inside and hoping to flush out the outlaws, the posse tossed in some some kind of incendiary device that
Now,
started a fire.
This, what you're talking about, was in the movie called The Long Riders.
Okay.
Do you remember that movie?
I don't.
It was about Frank and Jesse James, and it was called The Long Riders, and this scene was in the movie.
Okay, so there was an explosion, and it killed the 9-year-old half-brother of Frank and Jesse, wounded their mother, which resulted in her hand being amputated.
Right.
Well, the incident aroused the public anger against the Pinkertons, and there were efforts to help the James boys. Well, Jesse and Frank utilized this type of popular sympathy and support to avoid arrest. That sympathy and support began to wane in the 1870s because these guys were kind of getting a little worse all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in 1876, the gang left their familiar Kansas, Missouri countryside to rob a bank, and this is where you're right, at Mankato, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Mankato, Minnesota. Well, the venture proved to be the downfall of the James Younger gang. In Mankato, they were frightened away by a group of rugged citizens, so the outlaws decided to shift the raid to nearby Northfield.
This was a bad deal.
On September 7th, 1876, the gang failed in their attempt to rob the First National Bank there. 3 gang members were killed, while all 3 younger brothers were captured, effectively destroying the gang, the James Younger gang.
And they were shot to ribbons.
Yeah. Now, the James brothers made it back to Missouri and then disappeared for a time.
Yep.
And using some aliases, Jesse and his wife, Z, actually lived in Texas, Kansas City, Tennessee. They had a son and a daughter, and on numerous occasions, Jesse was reported being killed. But on July of 1881, he led a new gang into Chicago, and they robbed a train there, cleaned it out.
He just couldn't let it go.
He couldn't let it go. So now, under the name of Thomas Howard, okay, that's where the name Howard comes in. Jesse moved his family to St. Joseph to plan more robberies. However, with more than $50,000 in rewards now posted for Jesse alone. And he lived anonymously for a while, but it got a little more difficult. Bob and Charles Ford, okay? Bob Ford, this is the guy.
Yep.
They joined his new gang with the intention of earning the reward. And on Monday morning, April 3rd, 1882, Jesse finished breakfast, went into his living room with the Ford brothers to finalize plans for a bank robbery. And when Jesse stepped on a chair to straighten the picture, Bob Ford recognized his chance, drew a revolver, and shot a bullet into the back of Jesse's head. As Jesse fell dead, Z, his wife, ran to his side. The Ford brothers headed for telegraph office to claim their reward. Well, Jesse was buried in the front yard of his mother's farm. For years afterward, his mother actually let tourists come and visit the old farm, and his grave, for 25 cents apiece, they could visit his grave, and also included in the price was his mother's performance. She would curse the detective, she would cry dramatically and put on this show, and curse the Ford brothers, and then she would actually sell pebbles that were on the grave for 25 cents apiece, and when she ran out of pebbles, she'd go get some more and put them on the grave. So the Ford brothers were not treated very well after all this happened.
Well,
and
duh.
Charles committed suicide. Bob was shot and killed in 1892.
By?
Don't know. He was shot and killed.
Yeah.
But a few minutes after Jesse's death, in 1882, Frank surrendered himself to Missouri Governor Thomas Crittenden, and following a series of trials and legal moves, he was acquitted and released from custody. Frank lived an honest life for another 30 years. And he worked as a race starter at county fairs, as a theater doorman.
Did they let him shoot the gun?
I don't know. In 1903, he became partners with Cole Younger again. And they started the James Younger Wild West show.
You're kidding.
So eventually, Frank returned to the old Missouri farm, where he died at the age of 72 in 1915.
Holy cow.
Now, the rumors that Jesse was not the man murdered in 1882, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And for decades, imposters claimed to be the outlaw, and Jesse did live on, however, more of as a kind of a romantic legend in novels and movies. And you know, he was a thief and a murderer and even an esteemed figure, so much so that Theodore Roosevelt wrote, he said, quote, Jesse W. James is America's Robin Hood. That's what the president said.
Really? But, let me ask you this, though. What about the younger brothers? Because in the movie, The Long Riders, it stayed pretty close to historical fact. They were shot to ribbons. One was shot through the side of the head and couldn't talk and had to literally live on, like, oatmeal. Well, and did they have their crimes basically forgiven after a period of time?
Well, three of them were dead. Cole was the only one that
Only
survived.
one left.
Yeah. So that's why he and Frank were able to get together and start that Wild West show.
I see.
So as far as I know, now I may be wrong on that, but I thought
that they were nursed back to health in prison. The younger brothers. I'm pretty sure.
You know what? The very next story in my book talks about the younger brothers.
Okay. Why don't you go to the end quick and tell me?
Well, let me see here.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Cole and Jim were paroled in 1901.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry. Jim fell in love with a newspaper woman.
That was his downfall.
Yeah, and his shattered jawbone was the one he got.
Yeah, he was the one shot in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Anyway, the younger brothers, they didn't die in prison.
John was killed.
Yeah.
I've got that in my notes.
At Northfield, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Cole, Jim, and Bob lived on. Yes, that's true.
There is, real quick, I've only got a minute left here, but there is an annual depiction of what happened in Northfield, Minnesota at the actual bank and everything. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
The reenactment.
The reenactment of the robbery and what the citizens did to basically thwart it.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Really interesting story this morning.
Well, and I would like to think most of it's fairly accurate.
Sounds pretty close.
I think so.
Sounds pretty close. Dr. History did it again. Now, you're not going to be here next week, Thanksgiving week.
No, but we've got a guy lined up.
Okay. I'll look forward to it.
Okay.
God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Thanks,
Thank you. Dr. History, thank you very much. By the way, quickly, I want to tell everybody, I really know of a way that you can create your own bank. You're going, what? Yes, your own financial security and your future through silver. I've been acquainted with this company now and the people, and boy, I think it's a great, great way. A savings opportunity for you and a valued treasure for your loved one through silver. And by the way, all your silver purchases come right to your home. And like I said, you're creating your own security for the future. So find out more about 7K metals and silver purchases for you and your security for the future. Contact Lon Hardy. It's 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. And please mention that I told you to call. Absolutely. Protect your future and make it grow through 7K metals and a great silver program. Right now, let's send it back over to Wheels. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And welcome back to our last half hour. I want to remind everybody about Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley with our friends Curtis and Lorena. Deanne, if you would please cut that phone call off. It's going on the answering machine live, please. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. They have all your electronics needs, whether it's home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, televisions, all of this and more. And if you go in to purchase a product and you tell them, hey, what's your favorite charity? They will kind of keep a counting of the favorite charities. And at the end of this month, the top two charities, listen to this, Patterson's is going to donate $500 to each of the top two charities. So please, stop in and shop at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997, Patterson's in Burley. There are many, many guests that I have on this program that I absolutely trust with their ability to tell the tale, if you will, as to what's really going on, and they have the integrity to back it up with honest facts. This man is one of them. He's a nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, and let's visit with him again. My friend Dan Perkins, good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm fine. And yourself?
Not too bad as we prepare for Thanksgiving, and we have a lot, even in this day and age with the Democrats and their frivolous waste of our money. We've got a lot to be thankful for.
I agree. Mr. Trump's done a phenomenal job of improving the quality of life for tens of millions of Americans.
Absolutely. Dan, there seems to be like the world, if you'll pardon my analogy, the world today, our planet, in my opinion, kind of resembles a whack-a-mole game. Here you got to hit this problem over here, and then before you can turn around, you got another problem over here, and then you hit it, and you got a problem over in Hong Kong, or maybe now you've got another problem over in Israel. The world seems to be coming apart at the seams. Is just that my imagination, or what?
Well, you could say that. I wouldn't argue your point. I might have a different perspective. I probably would say to you that I'm encouraged because all of the turmoil has one common theme: freedom. We had the people in Hong Kong trying to get free of the tyranny from China. We had the first protest in Venezuela, public protest, in months. We had over 100, Zeb, 100 protests in 100 cities in Iran over the weekend. People complaining about the fact that they doubled the price of gasoline and other things. And other places around the world. What's common is that people are tired of the oppression that they've gone through for decades and want to be free. And they want to be able to say what they want to say, think what they want to say. And so, yes, it's very disconcerting, but freedom is beginning to try and break out all over the world. And I think that's a hugely positive thing, and primarily because of the change of the leadership of the United States of America in the world.
I absolutely will buy into everything you said with a small caveat. Yes, I believe in what's happening over in Hong Kong with the freedom fighters. Yes, I believe in other parts of the world where they're absolutely clamoring and begging and demanding more freedoms. But at the same time, we have a very naive and blasé attitude here in America to possibly accept the idiocy of socialism in this next election.
Well, that's an interesting point. I think what I would say, I understand what you're saying. However, you've got to temper that from the standpoint that it's coming from the mainstream media and the left candidates, not true Americans. So I think that you're hearing it because the media is bringing it up forefront. But by the same token, I believe that the vast majority. I saw a research report that was done on the expectations of the 2020 election. And this particular statistician felt that Mr. Trump could, in fact, get 7 to 10 million more votes than he got in 2016, which means he would wipe out the advantage of California on the popular vote and create a situation where they're talking about a possibility of a significant landslide. I've been saying that. I've been saying it's going to be 48-2. And the way things are going in California, it might be 49-1. So I don't take a lot of stock, and I want to prove a point for you and your listeners. Today, let's say that we said that brown apples were a threat to your health, and for the next 4 weeks, 15, 20 times a day, all the mainstream media would say brown apples would be bad for your health. 4 weeks from now, we send out Pew Research, and they talk and they ask, "What are you most concerned about?" And they're going to say, "Brown apples." Why? Because it could affect your health. The statement is not true, but if you say it enough times, as Hitler used to say before he was killed, when he was running the Third Reich, You tell a lie long enough and often enough and loud enough, people will begin to believe that it's true. And so the Democrats manipulate the American consumer by laying out all of this pipe about a particular story, and then they go out and take a poll and say, see, the American people don't like Donald Trump. And so we have to be very careful about the accuracy of what some people are postulating is to be the truth.
Dan, all that being said, and believe me, I'm on your page. I'm reading the same things that you do, and I espouse in your feelings. But we are looking at a society today that needs to be better educated, really, in what's going on in the news. Many people can't get Fox News. Many people can't or won't read a newspaper. Many people won't try to discern for themselves, really, what's going on. And those are the numbers that I fear going into 2020. And I don't mean this derogatorily, I'm just saying, the uneducated voter is dangerous as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with you. In fact, I've got a piece that's in circulation right now. I can't tell you where it's going to be, but I'll send it to you when it gets published. But basically, what I'm saying, and I'm going. Some people said off the deep end already. I'm saying, why is it that Nancy Pelosi and Schiff do not want to vote on the impeachment bill? The conventional wisdom is they don't want it because there were 32 or 33 or 34 House seats that Trump won that district in 2016, and they might be vulnerable if they signed off on a bill of impeachment. Well, that might be true, but I think there's another story, and it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. If you understand that if there is no bill of impeachment passed by the House, there is no Senate trial. Without a Senate trial, the president does not have anywhere near the amount of airtime to defend his position against what was said in the Democratic hearings for 2 to 3 weeks. So they don't want to vote because they know that they have the advantage because the president will not have the time to repudiate what they've been saying all along. Now, I've got a off the deep end idea, and that is that Mr. Trump would really like to have a trial. He would like to have the opportunity for due process to prove his innocence. But if the House Democrats do not bring a bill to the floor, the Republicans can't not pass it or not vote for it. But what if the Republicans had the courage to stand up and say, we're for a bill of impeachment, and they get Democrats to go along with it to the point that they have 217 votes to pass a bill of impeachment? If that happens, that means that Mr. Schiff and Mr. Comey and all the other people, Hillary, all the other people who've been making their accusations against the president, now become eligible to be subpoenaed by the trial in the Senate. And they don't want that. They don't want to have Mr. Schiff go before the Senate as a jury and be cross-examined by prosecutors for Mr. Trump and depend upon the prosecutors or the managers, as they're called, from the House to defend him.
Yeah.
I think that's why my guess is there's not going to be a vote.
You know, Dan, you write about this, you study it every day, and I have many diversified topics that I have to go through on my show daily. But when I look at this situation with the inquiry and I look at all the Democrats trying to rake up the muck to try to create a crime and then pin Donald Trump to it, I see and I listen to the American public. I call people call me on my talk show. I talk to people in Washington, Arizona, Texas, Texas, all over the country. They are fed up to the gills with this nonsense. They want it to stop, and they want the government to start working on things that are going to be better for the American people.
That's why I say to you that a few moments ago when I said one has to be careful about the source of the idea that the American people are for this, because I believe with what you say and I hear the same thing, that the American people do not see this as being innocent until proven guilty, the right to defend yourself, due process. None of these things have been extended to the president, and the people that are trying to represent his interests are being shut down, not permitted to ask questions, and we have virtually a dictator, Adam Schiff, a dictator, running what's going on.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a quick comment. Caller, please, you're on the air fast.
Well, Sam Donaldson was did a interview the other day, and he was talking about how during Watergate it took ABC, CBS, NBC 2 years to convince the American people that Nixon had done something terrible. And I was, pretty young at that time, and I don't remember it so much, but that's when they had control. And Donaldson was, seemed to be sad that there was no longer a media that was trusted, but that was still deceitful, because they were deceiving us then too. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, please, Dan.
Sure, that's a good point. I think that Nancy Pelosi said when she decided to introduce an impeachment inquiry, she said before that if we do not have bipartisan support for this impeachment, it will fail. When she did her vote on the floor of the resolution for an impeachment inquiry, it was bipartisan against. All of the Democrats except two voted for it, and 2 Democrats and all the Republicans voted against it. So you had Democrats coming to the Republican side, so she didn't get, and she said when she was talking about Nixon, we had to have the consensus of the Senate and the House and the American people in order to do this. And she knows she doesn't have the support of the American people, which is why I'm telling you, I don't believe there's going to be a vote. I don't think it's going to happen.
Let me ask you this final question, Dan, and you of all people can have a very good answer on this. As I look at these hearings and I study the lack of any kind of a negativity against Donald Trump or a crime, etc., and also on the other side of the rail, look at the poor quality that they have of candidates that are running for the Oval Office on the Democratic ticket. If this hearing goes awry and the candidates can't come up with anything better going into 2020, will this be the fragmentation and the destruction of the Democratic Party?
Well, I would say it's a good question. I would say it lays the groundwork for the eventual outcome of the election. And I think that the Democrats, and I'm being very candid with you, Zeb, the Democrats don't see and don't care what the American people think. What they think is the most important. And so if they get their butt handed to them in next November, a real shellacking, they will not take any accountability for that. They will say it is the deplorables who did this to our country. They won't take any responsibility. So even though Donald Trump might win 48 or 49 to 1 or 2, they'll still blame the deplorables and not accept any responsibility on themselves. They will be a minority party, I believe, in the House and the Senate. And you had a couple of Democratic senators today who came out and said, this is crazy what's going on in the House. So I just don't think that the American people are seeing what's happening and believe it is the right thing for the country. If it was more fair, where there was an open opportunity to fully cross-examine the witnesses, for the Republicans to be able to call witnesses, it might have gotten a different standing. But the Democrats could not afford to allow true justice to happen. They had to control everything to try and create the narrative of what was going on. They had a president, and they were looking for a crime to fit their narrative, and they haven't found it yet. And I think the American people see that. That's why the ratings are so terrible. And I suspect, based on what I'm hearing, is going to happen this week with the 8 witnesses, the American people are going to be really tired. And then Nancy's got to decide what she's going to do. Is she going to fall on the sword and take this all the way to a vote and let the outcome, let it happen, and have her party destroyed? Is that what she wants? Maybe.
And quickly, Dan, what about the new breed, if you will, of Democrats, like the Ilhan Omars, the AOCs, the Presleys, etc.? What are your thoughts about their trying to take the Democratic Party completely off the rails in a different direction?
Well, you had Michael Bloomberg get in the race because he said that the left has gone way too far left, and it's we're not going to win. We're not going to have a chance to win. You have Patrick came in from former governor of Massachusetts, black man coming into the race, Bloomberg coming into the race, and still potentially, as I believe Hillary will get into the race. So where we thought we were cutting the field down, we're bringing in new people. They're bringing in new people because they believe that the people that are there are not electable against Donald Trump. And that's why this press on the impeachment is to, if they can get him out of the office. And if they can get him out of the office, then they have a better chance of winning. But I don't think they've got a snowball's chance in hell of getting him out of office. He's not going to walk away.
This man is excellent. I'm proud to call him a friend on this program. He's the nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, Dan Perkins. I extend to you thank yous and also a great Thanksgiving Day next week. Thank you so much.
Same to you. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless. A great, great man to have on the program, Dan Perkins. Thank you very much. Are you hungry? I am just absolutely starved. That bowl of cereal at 4 o'clock this morning is long gone, and I wished I was right now walking up the front door to Edith's Cafe. Oh, my goodness, what great food. What nice people, and you're going to love the experience at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Oh, my goodness. Maybe you're there for lunch. Maybe you're going to go later on tonight for dinner. Whatever, you're going to enjoy the meals. I've got a list of everything they serve, and it is all under one word, delicious. Like if you're going in there tonight for supper, don't forget, on Tuesdays, all day long, they've got the barbecued pulled pork sandwiches. Oh, good. You're going to love it. Dinner specials every night, and along with all the great food, the sandwiches, everything at Edith's Cafe. You be sure and stop in at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. They're open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9. Join your friends. Enjoy great food at Edith's. Right now, also, it's time for our weather forecast. Holy smokes, Zeb, look at that. It's late. You're running late. Scarrow's Meat's going to bring us the weather this hour. And, of course, you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the delicious meats they have for you. You want to have something that just sounds really good? Marinated pork ribs for only $1.99 per pound. And St. Louis style, all the bones are removed. And listen to this, until Thanksgiving, delicious turkeys. Turkeys! Give them a call and order yours today at 324-7657. And they've got all the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst. I mean, oh my goodness sakes, I'm drooling all over the microphone. You're going to love the meats from Scarrow's Meats over in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It appears we may get a taste of winter this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 20% chance of rain showers by this afternoon, cloudy skies, and we are looking at a high of 55. It is going to be breezy, winds out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour, turning to the west by this afternoon, and could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. For tonight, chance of rain before midnight. That could turn into snow showers in the overnight hours, mostly in the higher elevations, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 30. By tomorrow, slight chance of rain or snow in the morning. That's going to continue off and on throughout the day. Possible couple snow showers up in the higher elevations. We are expecting a high of 45, and winds could gust as high as 21 miles an hour. By Thursday, 20% chance of rain or snow before noon, partly sunny skies by the afternoon, and a high of 43. And then as we take a look at Friday, sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. And it's really the truth. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I really want to say a big shout out and thank you to our major sponsor on this program, and that's the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Could not do it without them. They are phenomenal people, all 7 locations, and they've got all the tires you need for your vehicles to get through whatever the weather throws at you. I mean, the snow, the ice, the muck, the yuck, everything. Stop in and see them today for the tread designs and the sizes for your vehicle at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Also with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Stop in today. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, absolutely the best. Thank you for tuning in this morning, and tomorrow we've got Dave Bigo, and we've got the Idaho Fish and Game Report, and Bob Lawson. There's a guy you don't want to miss, talking about socialism, and all of that tomorrow on our program. So we invite you to be here, where we always wrap up the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the 4 most important words, in God we trust. Take care. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.